At the core of the U.S. entertainment industry, Ascendant Entertainment Enterprises swiftly adjusted to evolving standards. The pandemic had transformed the work environment, transitioning from conventional office spaces to online platforms. The #MeToo movement had unveiled countless scandals throughout corporate and creative sectors, placing AEE, among others, under strict judicial supervision to maintain a respectful and secure workplace. This heightened scrutiny, influenced by cases like Harvey Weinstein's, demanded an emphasis on openness and mutual respect in the work culture. During this period of change, Doug Showalter, CEO of AEE, faced the complex task of steering the company through both financial and ethical obstacles. He bore the essential responsibility of finding equilibrium between the two, especially with AEE's leading showrunner Tyler Sherman directing The Captain, a highly rated drama that had significantly boosted the network's position in the competitive streaming landscape. The popularity of The Captain and its spin-offs not only drove Ascendant's ratings to new heights, but also played a key role in revitalizing the company's reputation after a challenging few years. Doug Showalter, CEO of AEE, noticed the soft ding signaling a Teams message had arrived. "Your 10 o'clock is here." In the past, this would have come through on an intercom, but since the pandemic, everything ran through Teams, email, or Slack. Every employee, from Showalter down, was expected to use only these channels for one communication to allow full monitoring by the courts. No texts, and certainly no Snapchats. Once again, Doug silently cursed his predecessor, whose history of inappropriate behavior towards women surfaced during the same #MeToo wave that sent Harvey Weinstein to jail. The court kept Ascendant under close watch to guarantee a secure environment for women in the workplace. A balance had to be struck between ensuring safety and achieving profitability, two aims that often conflicted. Fortunately, Doug was managing both, and although inappropriate behavior entirely stamped out, it was steadily diminishing, largely thanks to creative talents like his upcoming guest. "Bring them in, Jocelyn." Doug rose and circled his desk. The guest had grown too significant to AE's success to leave unwelcomed at the entrance. Jocelyn guided two men through the doorway and into Doug's expansive contemporary office, filled with light and overlooking the hills encircling Los Angeles. "Tyler, great to see you, my friend. Good morning, Andy," he greeted the two men. Tyler was Tyler Sherman, the mastermind and executive producer of the top-rated scripted television series on air. Alongside him was Andy Daniels, senior vice president of streaming at Ascendant. Doug guided them to the white leather seating area in the corner. "What can I get you guys? Coffee? Cola?" Both men declined, so Jocelyn smiled and told them to let her know if they needed anything. Though stunning, Jocelyn was very professional, but her amazing figure was hard to ignore. Doug noticed that neither Tyler nor Andy glanced at her as she walked away. Times are definitely changing, he thought with satisfaction. "So Tyler, how's everything at the ranch?" The ranch referred to was the Straight Flush Ranch in Central Texas, the backdrop for Tyler's hit TV show, The Captain, a dramatized tale of Scottish sea captain Angus McQueen, who traded the sea for ranching. The McQueen Ranch was the largest in the U.S., sprawling over 800,000 acres, although some ranches in Argentina and Australia surpassed it. While some scenes were filmed at McQueen Ranch, most were shot at the Straight Flush Ranch owned by Tyler. Previous stories about McQueen Ranch had been filmed, but The Captain was made with the full support of the McQueen family. Their branded merchandise was selling well, and they retained all merchandising rights through their contract with Ascendant. They were pleased with the deal, which helped make The Captain the most popular show on TV. Tyler had even created successful spin-offs for Ascendant's streaming service, boosting their position in the streaming wars. "Well, we just wrapped," Tyler said with a drawl. Despite 2 decades in Hollywood, he still had the demeanor of a ranch kid. In his early 40s, tall and ruggedly handsome, he had tried acting with little success until he became a screenwriter. 2 of his first 3 screenplays were nominated for Oscars, and one he directed gained a strong streaming following, leading to a production deal with AEE. "We just have to finish editing the last 3 episodes," he added. Andy asked if they were on track for the premiere of the first episode. Tyler confidently replied that there had never been any doubt. Doug expressed his excitement for the start of the show, leaning back in his chair and observing Tyler's slight smirk. He then inquired about what was really on Tyler's mind. Tyler grinned and stated that he was going to need $200 million from them, give or take. In disbelief, Andy's jaw dropped as he asked if it was really $200 million. Tyler confirmed that it was indeed give or take. "That's a big number, even for you," Doug remarked. Tyler was talented, but costly. Most of his series were filmed on his Texas ranch, where he charged a daily fee. Every cow and horse used in production came with a daily rate, as did every wrangler, veterinarian, and cowboy extra, all billed to production costs. Even the farrier was included. While Tyler was making a fortune, no one at AEE complained because of his results, which is why he wasn't surprised by his VP's shock. "What do you have in mind?" Tyler reached into his leather messenger bag and pulled out 2 trade paperbacks, handing one to Doug and Andy. "The lawyers?" Doug read aloud. $200 million for a TV show about lawyers? Andy groaned. He believed in supporting their top talent. But lawyers? "Not just any lawyers, specifically Bonham McLeod Garcia," Tyler said. "No," Andy replied. "Yes," Doug said, surprising Andy. "B. McG. We've worked with them in Texas for local representation. They're big, good, and incredibly expensive." Doug recalled their past dealings, including when BM McG initially declined to represent AEE in a wrongful death suit until they proved the extra's intoxication led to the incident. They're the oldest law firm in Texas and one of the oldest in the U.S. Congressmen, senators, Supreme Court justices, and even a vice president have come from B. McG. Their reputation for honesty and integrity is unmatched, Tyler explained. Doug nodded but asked, "How does that make compelling TV? Why would people tune in to watch Texas lawyers?" Tyler pointed to the books. "That's my source material, and it's solid." Doug thumbed through the novel. "Give me the elevator pitch." 2 brothers, James and Robert Bonham, moved to Texas from South Carolina in 1834. They opened their law office in what's now Austin and quickly joined the movement for Texas independence. They eventually parted ways. Robert fought alongside General Sam Houston and became a lieutenant, while James aligned with their cousin, Colonel William Travis, and became a major. Doug raised his finger to pause Tyler. "Travis was the commander of the Alamo with Bowie and Crockett, right?" Tyler nodded. Bonham left the Alamo on a mission for Travis. He slipped through the Mexican army to deliver a message to Sam Houston, and then returned to fight and die with his comrades. After Texas gained independence, Robert resumed practicing law, married, and had kids. His oldest daughter married a Scottish immigrant named Alexander McLeod, who learned the law and eventually became a partner. "And the G? Garcia?" Gary asked. "Tomas Antonio Garcia. His father saved Robert's life at the Battle of San Jacinto, where the Texans defeated Santa Anna. After his father was liquidated in the battle, Robert paid for Tomas and his sister Angelica's education. Thomas studied law and joined Bonham McLeod, later forming B. McG. Robert was only 10 years older than Angelica, and after his first wife died in childbirth, he married her. "Quite the incestuous law firm, huh?" Andy quipped. Tyler raised an eyebrow, and Doug looked at Andy, slightly annoyed. Realizing Tyler was passionate about this project, Andy raised his hands in surrender. The book traces the firm through Texas's growth from a republic to statehood, covering slavery, the Civil War, Reconstruction, cattle empires, the oil and gas boom, and the space race into the 1960s. They're just as powerful, if not more so, than they were 50 years ago. Their story is deeply Texan. Can you think of another law firm whose attorneys have been involved in gunfights with bandits, rustlers, and Comancheros? "Wow," Andy said. "That sounded much more exciting than watching a Wall Street lawyer discuss arbitrage." "Any surprise casting choices?" Doug asked. Tyler had stunned Hollywood with his casting in one of the Captain's spin-offs. He chose retired 2-time Super Bowl champion quarterback Kyle Kinsler and his wife, Megan Bond Kinsler, a retired U.S. women's soccer captain. They had appeared in commercials and guest spots on sitcoms, but they weren't actors and didn't claim to be. They agreed to the roles thinking it would be fun, but Tyler put them through a 6-month acting class and a month of cowboy training for their 19th century roles. Critics agreed they both performed well, Kyle more convincingly than Megan, but their on-screen chemistry was electric. Tyler shrugged slightly. "Mark Tibbs has signed on to play James Bonham in the first 2 episodes." "You got Mark Tibbs!" Andy exclaimed, thrilled. Tibbs had recently won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. "Can you extend his role?" "Since he dies at the Alamo, no. Once he's dead, he's dead. No Alamo zombies planned," Tyler replied deadpan. "Who do you have for Robert?" Doug asked. "I have a few ideas for young Robert, but it depends on who I cast as older Robert. I've got someone in mind, and if that works out, I'll decide on young Robert then." Tyler casually examined his fingernails before dropping his big news. "Maria Elena Montoya is signed on to play Robert's wife, Angelica." Both Doug and Andy stared at Tyler in shock. "How?" they asked in unison. "She supposedly retired after her husband died." "Isn't she in seclusion?" Doug asked. Maria Elena Montoya was the daughter of the youngest sister of King Juan Tomas Vega Montoya of Spain. After college, she modeled in Paris and London before finding her passion in acting. She took her new craft seriously, attending drama classes and auditioning for off-Broadway plays. Nominated for 2 Academy Awards, she was expected to win eventually, until the accident. While pregnant with her first child, her husband, F1 driver Jean-Pierre Degas, died in a crash at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Maria witnessed the incident and immediately knew he was dead, miscarrying that night. She was flown back to Spain heavily sedated and had been in seclusion for 3 years, avoiding public appearances. Her agent had declined all requests until Christmas, when she was photographed attending Mass with the Spanish royal family, her first public appearance since her husband's memorial. Tyler's casual mention of her return to acting through his TV series left Doug and Andy stunned. Wow, okay, I think we're ready to move forward. And your source material, it's solid? Doug asked, picking up the book. Who is this author, Jack McCloud? Is he related to the McCloud of B. McGee? Tyler nodded. He is related. The family usually goes into law or the military. Doug glanced at the short author biography on the back cover. Following his retirement from the military, General Jack McCloud started instructing history at Central Texas State University. This marks his debut novel. Doug inquired if it was much of a bio. Tyler replied that the author had a Wikipedia page and suggested Doug check it out. Doug then pulled his iPhone from his suit jacket pocket and began tapping on it. After a moment of reading, his eyebrows shot up in surprise. He laughed, commenting that the author was the real deal. Tyler simply nodded in agreement. Jack and Kathy McCloud home, Round Rock, Texas. Jack McCloud, Brigadier General USA retired, was thrilled and eager to share the news with his wife. Unless you knew him well, his excitement might go unnoticed, but a brief half-smile gave it away. Throughout his military career, he had mastered controlling his emotions, so this flicker of a grin felt like pure joy. A TV series, he thought. They want to adapt my book into a TV show. And it was Tyler Sherman, the highly successful TV producer. Jack didn't watch much television but enjoyed The Captain, a captivating show despite its soap opera elements. After receiving a call from his agent, Alex Cordell, Jack canceled his classes for the day, a rare occurrence that left his colleagues at Central Texas State University speculating about the reason. Was it related to the military or personal? Students were just pleased to have an unexpected free hour. Meanwhile, Jack hurried home to share his exciting news with his wife. The sight of the red Corvette in the driveway tightened his stomach. The personalized license plate, De Bull, stirred anxiety he hadn't felt since combat. Having to park on the street irritated him, prompting Jack to confront the situation head-on. He opened the front door and stepped inside. Noticing the living area was empty, he paused to listen. Soon he heard sounds coming from the master bedroom. As he neared the bedroom, unmistakable sounds confirmed his worst fears. Kathy was with another man in an intimate moment, one hand tangled in her hair as she gasped out encouragement. The bedroom reeked of infidelity. Kathy looked up in shock as she saw Jack standing in the doorway, his face reflecting a mix of disbelief and anger. The man, seemingly unbothered by Jack's presence, continued, offering a smug look in Jack's direction. Kathy scrambled to her knees, saying, "Danny, stop it!" At least she appeared somewhat embarrassed as she reached for her robe. Jack had seen her without clothes countless times, yet now she was hiding from him, not from her lover. "Jack, I'm sorry you had to see that. I wanted to tell you differently," she said. Jack felt his anger rising and focused on controlling it to avoid confronting the smug man beside her. Danny had the build of a football lineman, out of shape and covered in body hair. "Danny, wait for me in the car. I'll be out in a minute," she instructed. "Are you sure, babe? I can wait right here," he replied, continuing to smirk insolently at Jack. Kathy smiled at Danny, assuring him, "I'll be okay. Jack won't cause any problems, will you?" She shot a glare at Jack. Jack looked at Kathy with disgust. "Yeah, no worries there. I wouldn't touch her. You can take her with you. I never want to see either of you again." A flash of anger crossed Kathy's face. "Really, Jack? After 20 years of marriage, that's the respect you show me?" Jack maintained a neutral expression, ignoring her question. "I'm not going to ask why or how long. Just get out, pack your things and leave." Kathy nodded. "That's our plan. I hope to break this to you gently. I'm leaving you for Danny. He'll give me a better life than you ever could." She grabbed a couple of suitcases from her closet and started packing her clothes. "I thought you had so much potential. I believed you were going places and would earn a 3rd or 4th star. I pictured a future for us in D.C. Instead, you capped out at Brigadier, retired, and took a teaching job," Kathy said, shaking her head in disbelief. How could you expect me to settle for this? 20 years as an army wife, and this is my reward? She gestured toward their modest house. I need more than this. I need more than you. She continued packing her suitcase. I'm not having this conversation. Just leave. My attorney will reach out about the divorce, Jack replied. Kathy sighed. Fine. You'll probably try to embarrass me, but I'm leaving you for a much better opportunity. Danny DeBull Bullard played in the NFL and owns the largest Chevy dealership in Texas. He'll give me the life you never could. It may not be as glamorous as being a senator's wife, but I'll manage. I don't expect you to be happy for me, but don't act like a petulant child. It doesn't suit you. Jack regarded her with the flat expression he reserved for prisoners of war. She was now the enemy. He turned away from his soon-to-be ex-wife and walked to the bar, pouring himself a couple of fingers of bourbon. When he turned around, he saw Danny sitting in his chair. Get out of my house, you miserable piece of trash, Jack said. Danny stood up and laughed mockingly. Hey, I get it. Finding out you're a betrayed man must be a shock. I'll leave when I'm ready. Jack stepped closer, and Danny's eyes widened in fear as he realized the danger he was in. Jack's expression revealed a glimpse of his own mortality. Danny raised his hands and quickly backed away. Kathy rushed into the living room. Jack was calmly sipping his bourbon while Danny pressed himself against the wall, pale and shaken. Damn it, Jack! Act like an adult, not a child who had his toy taken away, she exclaimed. I told him to leave, and now I'm telling you the same. Go! Now! We're going. Danny, get my bags. This could have gone smoothly, Jack, but you want to make it hard. Fine, we'll do it the hard way. Danny exited the bedroom with Kathy's suitcases, smirking at Jack, his confidence restored with Kathy by his side. Don't feel bad. The better man won. Jack replied, Congratulations. You won the prize. A cheating wife. What a prize. He shook his head in disgust. Danny glanced at Jack and then at Kathy. His swagger diminished. He walked out without another word. Kathy glared at Jack. You'll pay for that, you jerk. I'll get the rest of my things later. She slammed the front door behind her. Jack took a sip of bourbon, reflecting on how a day that started so well had spiraled into chaos. He sighed and reached for his cell phone. It was time to call his daughter Kelsey and inform her about the divorce. Jonathan Jack McLeod was not your typical Army officer. After losing both parents in high school, he was raised by his grandfather, Lonnie Boudreau, a Cajun oil refinery worker known for his unpredictable behavior. Upon graduating, Jack enlisted as soon as he turned 18, starting as an E-1 private in infantry. His test scores and performance in basic training allowed him to qualify for jump school and ranger school. By the time he got orders for Fort Bragg, he had been promoted to private first class, E3, and wore both jump wings and a ranger tab. He enrolled part-time at Fayetteville State University, allowing him to take classes on base or through correspondence. By the end of July 1990, he had settled into a routine until Iraq invaded Kuwait on August 2nd. During Operation Desert Storm, Jack was deployed to Kuwait and then Iraq, where he earned a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart for an incident he found embarrassing. He returned to Fort Benning a week later, thinking it wouldn't be his last time in that part of the world. Jack earned a BA in history over 6 years while being promoted to Sergeant, E5. He decided to apply for Officer Candidate School and was accepted. OCS was easy for him due to his experience as a junior non-commissioned officer. After completing the 12-week course, he was promoted to second lieutenant and received his gold bars without family present. He received orders for Fort Bragg for his first assignment as a platoon leader with the 82nd Airborne. After 8 years and a promotion to first lieutenant, Jack met Kathy Bascom, while she was bartending at an Irish pub. He was immediately captivated by her beauty. They quickly made plans for a date and became inseparable. Jack excelled in the Army, earning a master's in American history and starting his PhD, considering teaching after retirement. On September 11, 2001, he was a major commanding a company in the 82nd Airborne, and soon after, they were mobilized for Afghanistan. This conflict was unlike previous wars, where anyone could be a friend or enemy. Jack received the Distinguished Service Cross for his actions at the Unai Pass in Maidan Wardak province. Although originally nominated for the Medal of Honor, his recommendation was downgraded due to concerns about giving out too many medals early in the conflict. Bravery often meant accepting that today is a good day to die. When his platoon was pinned down, Jack charged the attackers, killing 6 Afghan fighters and wounding 4, which broke the enemy's will. An embedded journalist witnessed this, briefly making Jack famous, a situation he disliked, but Kathy enjoyed. She often sent him news links, which he ignored, and his fame quickly faded. Upon returning home, Jack proposed to Kathy, and they were quietly married by the battalion chaplain. He served 2 tours in Iraq, earning a Silver Star in his first tour and a second Bronze Star and Purple Heart in his second tour. After leaving the military, Jack resumed his PhD studies while he and Kathy started a family. Their daughter Kelsey was born nearly 9 months after Jack's first tour. Kathy loved Kelsey but wished she resembled her more, as Kelsey had Jack's blonde hair and gray eyes. By age 43, Jack had 25 years of service and was a lieutenant colonel commanding a battalion. He completed his dissertation titled Texas Statehood as a Reflection of the Success of the Bonham McLeod Garcia Law Firm, which examined the firm's influence on Texas. Jack, distantly related to its founders, had access to extensive historical documents during a 3-year posting at Fort Hood. As Jack considered retirement, he learned he was at the top of the promotion list for colonel. This unexpected news indicated that his Distinguished Service Cross should have been a Medal of Honor. He decided to remain in the Army and was offered a teaching position at the United States Military Academy at West Point. At West Point, Jack discovered a passion for teaching and thrived in the academic setting. Kathy enjoyed meeting many prominent politicians and media figures, as the Academy frequently hosted distinguished guests, including the President of the United States. After 3 years at West Point, Jack was on the list for Brigadier General and received orders to take command of a brigade at Fort Benning. He quickly realized that the U.S. Army was highly political, and the backstabbing among general officers left him disillusioned, prompting his decision to retire and explore new opportunities. After completing his dissertation, Jack turned his thesis into a novel, resulting in his first book, The Lawyers, which was published by a small Austin publisher. While it wasn't expected to be a bestseller, it established him as a published author, making him an attractive hire for many universities. Central Texas State University was eager to bring on a retired Army general with a PhD and a published work. Kathy was very upset about the move to Texas, feeling it diminished her prestige and destroyed her envisioned future in D.C., planting the seeds of discontent. "You have to be kidding me," Kelsey exclaimed. "Mom was cheating on you in your own bed?" Jack could hear the heartbreak in her voice. "Are you going to divorce her? Can you forgive her?" Jack sighed. "She wants the divorce just as much as I do. She's moving to Dallas to be with her boyfriend. I'll be serving her with papers soon. I know Mom can be difficult, but I never thought she could be this awful. Just know I'm here for you, Dad. I'm on Team McLeod. She can be Team Bascom or Team Bullard or whatever, but I'm always on your side. I appreciate that, baby, and I'm proud to have you as my daughter. I don't expect you to cut your mother out of your life. She is your mom, after all. I won't try to alienate you, too. She was an okay mom, but never a great one. She's always been selfish. I can't believe she's with that used car salesman. I've seen his commercials. He's gross. What is she thinking, Dad?" "I don't know, Kels, but he's her problem now." Jack talked a bit longer with Kelsey about school. She was in her freshman year at West Point, following in his footsteps to become an Army officer. This decision further angered Kathy, who would be living in Texas while her daughter was moving across the country for college. Life went on for Jack, as it does for most people if they're lucky. He filed for divorce citing adultery, while Kathy countersued for mental cruelty and misuse. She had to admit there was no evidence for her claims, while Jack produced sealed sheets from the day he caught her with the used car salesman. Even though it was a no-fault state, proof of adultery affected support, which was denied to Kathy. Kathy requested half of Jack's Army pension, but since they had only been married for 20 of his 30 years of service, she was entitled to up to 1/3 at the judge's discretion. Because of the adultery evidence, this was reduced to 10%, further enraging Kathy. The divorce was granted, and Kathy was completely cut out of Jack's life. Kelsey refused to contact her mother, blocking her on social media and ignoring her wedding invitation, which only fueled Kathy's anger toward Jack. What would upset Kathy the most, driving her nearly insane with anger and jealousy, was a new chapter that hadn't even begun yet. At the Straight Flush Ranch, 125 miles west of Austin, Texas, Tyler Sherman extended his hand to greet his guests, saying, "It's a true honor to meet you, General McLeod." Jack was accompanied by his attorney and agent, Alex Cordell, who led the entertainment law division of Bonham McLeod Garcia LLP, known as B. McG. "Please call me Jack. I've been looking forward to this meeting, too." They shook hands, quickly sizing each other up. Both tall and lean, they shared rugged good looks that turned heads. As fellow Texans, they had lived in different parts of the country. Tyler had dark hair sprinkled with gray and designer stubble. Jack had changed since his divorce. Gone was the buzz-cut and clean-shaven look he had sported for nearly 40 years. He now had collar-length blonde hair, which he described as country singer long, with a hint of gray. He also had grown a dark blonde mustache with no gray, making him look at least 10 years younger than his 52 years. Having seen many soldiers age prematurely, Jack was surprised that letting his hair and mustache grow had revitalized his appearance. "Can I get you guys something to drink?" Tyler gestured to a bar cart in the corner. After they declined, he led them to a seating area in his office, a luxurious pole barn on his ranch, designed with a stylish mix of ranch house and upscale decor. Once seated, Tyler initiated the discussion. "You've had the proposals for a week. What do you think?" Alex spoke for Jack. "Let's address the issue with Bonham, McLeod, Garcia. We agree to the proposal in principle, but with one change." "I'm sure I can guess," Tyler replied dryly. "Why don't you tell me anyway?" "We want to retain merchandise rights," Alex stated. "I told Ascendant that wouldn't work when they added it to the contract. B. McG retaining merch rights isn't a deal breaker. Other than that, we're good?" "Absolutely. Now let's talk about Jack. $250,000 seems low for the television rights, even with the EP credit. How many seasons do you expect this show to run? And why not let Jack write the scripts?" "That amount is standard for a first-time author with little recognition. The EP credit will pay off significantly for foreign syndication. Jack, your cut as an EP could exceed $1 million per season, and we believe there's enough material for 4 seasons. As for writing the scripts," Tyler shook his head, "I write them all. You'll read them and can suggest changes, but I have final say on every word." "End of story." Alex glanced at Jack and shrugged. "It's your choice, but it's a good deal for you. I want to make a few minor changes, but overall, I think you should go for it." Tyler added, "There's one more thing I want to mention. Have you heard about the casting?" Alex was aware of the buzz. Casting Mark Tibbs was significant, but Maria Elena Montoya had caused a stir in Hollywood. Her casting was the biggest news in a decade. Jack nodded. "Mark Tibbs for James Bonham and Maria Elena Montoya for Angelica Bonham, Robert's wife." "Who are you casting as Robert Bonham?" Tyler shifted in his seat, releasing some tension. "I have someone in mind for the role. He's not a professional actor, and I'm not sure about his experience, but he has the looks, charisma, and presence. I think he would be a natural." He paused and leaned back in his chair. "Okay," Alex said. "Now that you have our interest, who is it?" In response, Tyler handed Alex and Jack a sheet of paper. Alex's eyes widened as he quickly realized Tyler's intent, while Jack looked confused. "This is my Wikipedia entry." After a moment, Jack understood. "No, not just no, but absolutely not." "Jack, you're perfect for the role. You have the looks and charisma. I know you're not an actor, but if I can turn a football player and a soccer player into respectable actors, I can do the same with you. First off, I'm too old to start acting. I'd look ridiculous." "Let me counter that," Tyler said. "Did you ever see John Wayne in True Grit?" When Jack nodded, Tyler continued. "When Wayne made that movie, he was the same age as Tom Cruise when he finished filming the last Mission Impossible, and you're almost a decade younger than Cruise. Also, think of Audie Murphy, the most decorated soldier of World War II. He won every medal for bravery from every Allied country. He became an actor and even starred in the movie version of his autobiography playing himself. You'll be fine, Jack. If a Texas boy like Audie Murphy can act, I know you can." "But, Jack stammered, searching for a rebuttal, but struggling to find one. He finally glanced at Alex, who was trying to suppress his laughter. At the Gables on the Creek restaurant in Turtle Creek, Dallas, Texas, Tyler Sherman extended his hand, saying, "It's a real pleasure to meet you, General McLeod." Kathy was amazed at her good fortune. Just 3 months into her marriage to Jack, opportunities were already coming her way. When Carolyn Collier called to arrange a lunch meeting, she thought there must be some mistake. Carolyn was a prominent figure in Dallas society, married to the owner of Collier Petroleum, and had invited Kathy to discuss the annual Beef and Oil Gala, the most exclusive event in Dallas, akin to New York's Met Gala, attracting every influential Texan and celebrity. "Please call me Kathy," she said, exchanging a light kiss on the cheek with Carolyn. "And I'm Carolyn," she replied, though only close friends called her Carrie. She doubted Kathy would ever earn that privilege, but time would tell. Once seated, a server came to take their drink orders, and Kathy, following Carolyn's lead, ordered a Chardonnay. "We were surprised to hear that Danny Bullard got married. Everyone thought he was a confirmed bachelor," Carolyn remarked. "We kept our relationship private. I'm not one to share my personal life," Kathy explained. Carolyn studied her, skeptical. She recalled a line from Julius Caesar about Cassius's lean and hungry look. Carolyn sensed there was more to Kathy's story, but chose not to dig deeper. A wife's background wasn't always a deal breaker. "That's great," Carolyn said, shifting topics. Are you familiar with the beef and oil gala, the Bog? Yes, of course. It's famous. Everyone important attends, Kathy replied. True, but it's a charity fundraiser. We raise about $10 million each year. I've chaired it for the last 10 years, and my co-chair, Lorena Garcia Marquez, wants to step back this year to focus on her family. You had a Mexican girl as your co-chair? Kathy asked, surprised, reconsidering the significance of the Bog. Carolyn narrowed her eyes at Kathy. Lorena is Texas royalty. Her great-great-great-grandfather fought at the Battle of San Jacinto for Texas independence. Her great-great-grandfather co-founded one of Texas's oldest law firms, and she's a partner at Bonham McLeod Garcia, as is her husband. She is not just some Mexican girl. Kathy felt embarrassed, realizing her mistake. Did Carolyn know about her past with a McLeod and the book that inspired a rumored TV series? I'm sorry. That came out wrong. She sounds impressive, and I'd love to meet her someday. Carolyn regarded Kathy with suspicion, but decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, wondering if Kathy was simply nervous or unaware of her biases, which was common among many Dallas wives. Anyway, we need someone who can bring fresh energy and sponsorship to the Beef and Oil Gala. We start planning for next year's event right after the last one. Now we're getting to it, Kathy thought. She realized Carolyn was seeking a significant sponsorship. What amount are you looking for? Carolyn initially sought a $250,000 sponsorship, but, gauging Kathy's vibe, increased the figure. How about $300,000? Kathy gasped. That was a substantial sum. She knew she couldn't commit without discussing it with Danny first. I need to talk to my husband, she replied. Of course, take your time. But consider the doors this could open for you. You're new to Dallas society, and it can be hard to break into the right circles. This could really set you up. Carolyn knew how to appeal to social climbers. Now let's enjoy this tuna nikoi, shall we? In the executive offices of Phoenix Financial in Austin, Texas, Michael Sullivan, CEO, welcomed Danny Bullard into his office, motioning for him to sit at the desk. Hi, Danny. Good to see you again, he said. Some dealers were taken to the seating area, but Danny's presence was more of a power play. Michael wasn't fond of Danny and wanted the meeting to end quickly. He had agreed to see him only because Danny had driven from Dallas to Austin without an appointment. After exchanging pleasantries, Michael asked how he could help. Our dealer participation agreement is up for renewal in 6 months, Danny said. I want to discuss an early renewal. As the CEO of Phoenix Financial, Michael typically left dealer negotiations to his sales team. He only got involved with larger dealerships or those with whom he had long-standing relationships. Danny was neither. He was a former football player who seemed to think his past entitled him to the CEO's attention. We can discuss that, Michael replied, typing on his computer. Year to date, your finance and insurance product sales are down 10%, and your loss ratio is up 20%. What's going on? Danny's face flushed at the critique. He had always viewed Michael as a pencil-pushing accountant, detached from the real world. If Danny had looked around Michael's office, he might have noticed the Golden Gloves trophies and military photos that showcased Michael's accomplishments. But he likely didn't. As for the decline in business, we're in a down cycle. Car sales in Dallas are either flat or down at most dealerships. It happens. We'll rebound in a few months. Regarding the loss ratio, we lost our service manager a few months back, and I'm juggling managing the service department along with the dealership. It's overwhelming, but I have interviews lined up for a new service manager soon, which should help with the loss ratio. Danny knew this issue would arise. The loss ratio compared extended warranty sales to the total claims made. Problems occurred when service departments inflated claims, reporting 2 needed tie rods instead of 1, for instance. Michael considered the situation. Phoenix Financial provided incentives for dealerships to sell their F&I products through no-interest loans, paid back with those sales. Danny had received a $5 million loan when their agreement was signed, and now he wanted to secure another loan as their contract expired in 6 months. Given your declining sales and increasing loss ratio, I can extend your dealer override to $2 million, but I can't go higher, Michael said. Danny was dissatisfied. Even with sales down, we're still the largest GM dealership by volume in the Southwest. I was hoping for a $10 million override. Michael shook his head. That's not feasible. I might consider $3 million, but we would need guarantees and safeguards in the contract. Danny wasn't pleased, but knew he had little choice. He needed cash immediately, and Phoenix Financial was his best option. Exploring a new finance company would take months, and he needed funds now. Damn the Beef and Oil Gala. On the set of the Lawyers TV show at Straight Flush Ranch, 125 miles west of Austin, Texas, Tyler Sherman approached Jack. "Are you settling in okay, Jack?" Tyler Sherman asked. "Have you met the other talent yet?" Jack McLeod shook his head. "What am I doing here, Tyler? 6 years ago, I was teaching history at West Point, and a year ago at CTSU. Now I'm supposed to convince people I'm an actor? You must be really desperate if I'm the best you can find." Tyler laughed. "Don't forget, I saw your screen tests. I was there for them. You're a natural actor. I've seen this with military leaders. Part of being a leader is playing the role. If you excel at it, your soldiers follow you. If not, they won't trust you. Like I said, you're a natural." With that, Tyler waved and wandered off. Jack leaned back in his chair, his name printed on the back like in the movies, and took in his surroundings. He had met the cast during table reads and was impressed by their professionalism. This was not the entitled group often described in Hollywood gossip. Everyone arrived on time, ready to work with their lines memorized. Mark Tibbs effortlessly switched from his British accent to a Southern one for his role as James Bonham. Jack had lost much of his Texas twang over the years, but his accent still passed muster. The biggest surprise was Maria Elena Montoya. Everyone was aware of her tragic story and treated her with care. Despite being away from acting for 3 years, she was the first on set and the last to leave, always ready to help anyone, from the gaffer to the caterer. When Jack first met her at the table read, she smiled and said she had enjoyed his novel. He initially doubted her sincerity, but then she stunned him with her next words. "To understand Angelica better, I wanted to get into her head. I had my agent request a copy of your dissertation, and I read that too. It gave me deeper insight into who Angelica is." Maria Elena was not just a pretty face reciting lines. She was not merely the niece of the King of Spain or the widow of an F1 driver. She was a complex and intelligent woman with a near-genius IQ. She could comfortably discuss everything from Parisian fashion to quantum computing and was well-read and articulate on various topics. Jack found himself smitten with the 35-year-old actress, but knew he needed to keep his distance to avoid embarrassing himself. Jack's first scene with Maria was in episode 4. Tyler had originally considered casting a younger actor for the role of Robert Bonham, but when Jack arrived with a mustache and longer hair, Tyler realized they could easily de-age Jack with makeup and effects, allowing him to portray Robert over several decades. This not only saved money, but also provided continuity. Jack was nailing it. In today's scene, Robert Bonham was pushing Angelica away after his wife's death 6 months earlier. He believed he needed to grieve alone, while Angelica, who had loved him since her teenage years, yearned for him. Despite Robert's insistence on keeping their distance, Angelica threw caution to the wind and pursued him. Scene: office interior of Bonham Law Firm, day, Angelica. "Mi querido, you cannot mourn forever. I am here. I love you. I long for your touch. Don't push me away." Angelica walks toward Robert, arms open wide. As she approaches, his expression reveals his inner turmoil. He grieves for his late wife, but she is gone. Angelica, vibrant and beautiful, desires him. Robert closes his eyes, feeling a wave of calm wash over him. A smile spreads across his face as he opens his arms, and Angelica leaps into his embrace. They share a passionate kiss. End scene. The British have a unique word that's difficult to translate into American English. Thunderstruck comes close, but it doesn't quite capture the essence. The British term is gobsmacked. Kissing Maria Elena left Jack feeling gobsmacked. This was not good at all. He needed to find Tyler. It was time to recast his role. In the service department at Bullard Chevrolet, Danny Bullard was furious. Out of the 4 interviews he scheduled for a new service manager, 3 had canceled, and 2 hadn't even called. After nearly 6 months of managing both the service and sales departments, the stress was taking its toll. He found himself snapping at employees and customers, with Kathy bearing the brunt of his frustration. Last night, in a fit of rage, he had pushed her against the closet door, seeing fear in her eyes. He just needed to find a good service manager. Still agitated, Danny received a call over the PA that he was needed in the service drive. Upon arrival, he was greeted by an attractive customer with a blonde ponytail, black yoga pants, and a pink AOC for President t-shirt. She resembled a Barbie soccer mom. Next to her was a younger girl, possibly her daughter or sister, both fitting the same mold. Danny forced a smile as he approached. "Hi, I'm Danny Bullard, the owner. How can I help you?" "I'm Marcy Clarendon. I dropped off my Suburban last week because the air conditioner stopped working. Your service advisor charged me $150 to diagnose the issue, saying the compressor was bad. She also mentioned needing to replace the accumulator and orifice, totaling $1,500. Marcy glanced at her invoice, giving Danny a chance to glare at Debbie, his only female service advisor, who who avoided eye contact. I authorized the repairs, but when I picked up my Suburban, the air conditioner still wasn't working. Your advisor told me I'd have to leave it again, but could keep the loaner. Later, I found out the evaporator was leaking and that it would cost another $1,500 to fix. She waved the estimate at him. That's unacceptable. What will you do about it? Danny tried to sound sympathetic. That's unfortunate. Sometimes not all issues can be identified at once. The most serious problems are tackled first and others may arise later. Marcy wasn't satisfied. I paid $150 for a diagnosis. If I pay for it, I expect it to be accurate. If your team had done their job, we wouldn't be here. Danny attempted to calm her down, knowing a confrontation was the last thing he needed. Let's think rationally. The price would be the same whether diagnosed all at once or in stages. Her reaction to being told to calm down only escalated her anger. I was willing to pay $1,500 for air conditioning, not $3,000 for an 8-year-old Suburban. I want the old parts reinstalled and a refund. Danny glanced at Debbie, who mouthed, "Gone." Turning back to Marcy, he replied, "That's not possible. The parts have been sent for recycling. However, I can waive the $150 diagnosis fee if you replace the evaporator." Danny's headache was worsening, and he just wanted the day to end. "That's not acceptable. I want a refund. Restore my truck to its original condition, or I want to speak to your boss." Danny exhaled loudly, reaching his limit. "When I said I'm the owner, did you think I had someone to answer to? Charlie Chevrolet doesn't sign my paycheck. I make the final decisions here. Pay for the evaporator or don't. It's your choice. My car's air conditioner works fine, and I don't care if you sweat. If you want to come back after hours, we can discuss it then." He turned and left the service department. He didn't see the younger girl smile and give Marcy a thumbs up. Straight Flush Ranch, 125 miles west of Austin, Texas, set of The Lawyers TV show. Tyler went all out for the rap party. Buckman's BBQ from Fredericksburg catered, and there were beer tubs every 10 feet. 2 bar tents stocked with a variety of liquors were set up as part of Tyler's open bar. 3 bands were scheduled to play, and the party began after the last scene, wrapped at 2 in the afternoon, running until the next morning. Tyler provided buses to transport the cast back to their hotels or Airbnbs, encouraging everyone to enjoy themselves since Ascendant was footing the bill. Jack, not much of a drinker, had been nursing the same beer for an hour. He sat on hay bales arranged around the stage, leaning back with his eyes closed, soaking up the sun while listening to the music when Maria Elena sat next to him. He could tell it was her by the hint of sandalwood she wore. "You've been avoiding me for weeks, mi general," she said, emphasizing general with a Spanish accent. Jack sighed. After their on-screen kiss, he had begged Tyler to let him out of his contract, but Tyler had laughed it off. "Every time you move, her eyes follow you. I know you have it bad for her, and I think she feels the same. I don't know what she sees in an old soldier, but you're lucky. So, no, I'm not letting you out of your contract. She's been through a lot in the past few years, and you're partly responsible for bringing her out of her shell. Take her out, enjoy life. You both deserve happiness." Jack remained determined to keep his distance. Maria Elena was 17 years younger and internationally famous, the niece of the King of Spain. What could he offer her? A 3-bedroom house in Round Rock, Texas? He opened his eyes to face her. She wore cowboy boots, jeans, a cowboy hat, and a brown t-shirt with the U.S. Army logo. "You're right, Maria. I've been avoiding you. When I'm around you, I lose my sense of self. I don't like that loss of control. It scares me." Maria smiled. "You're not going to war again, mi general. After we're married a few years, perhaps you won't lose control anymore." Jack shook his head. "I have a 3-bedroom house in Round Rock. I'm a college history teacher living out a temporary fantasy by acting on a TV show. Once it's over, I'll be back to teaching." "Maria, I'm not who you're looking for." "Jack, I'm 35, a widow who lost her child. Millions saw my husband die on television, and I've relived his death countless times. Do you know what else I replay?" Maria looked at Jack, who shook his head. "I remember the conversation we had the night before he died when I told him I wouldn't ignore his affairs anymore. I said I'd be divorcing him after the race." Tears streamed down her face as she spoke. He was distraught and should have withdrawn from the race, but his pride wouldn't let him. That pride eliminated him. "I feel responsible. That's why I isolated myself for 3 years. I lost my husband and my baby and mourned things beyond my control. You're the first person I've wanted to be with since then. You, Jack. No one else. I love you. I ache for you. Please don't turn me away." Jack smiled. "That sounds like a line from a cheesy TV show." Maria smiled back. "And so it is, my husband-to-be. Bullard Chevrolet, Dallas, Texas. Owner's office. Hi, Mr. Bullard. This is Cammie Carson. I'm a producer for Deadline America. Are you familiar with our show? Danny's first instinct was to think someone was playing a prank on him. Of course he knew Deadline America. It was the most watched news magazine show on TV. I know your show. What can I do for you, Miss Carson? We're planning a series on retired athletes who have successfully transitioned into the business world. We often hear stories about athletes going bankrupt shortly after leaving professional sports, so we thought this series would provide a positive counterpoint. Would you be interested? We would interview you and your wife at your home and dealership. Why, yes, he was definitely interested. Kathy would be thrilled. Bullard home, Dallas, Texas. Danny and Kathy were curled up on the sofa, anxiously waiting for Deadline America to start. The producers had told them the entire episode would feature them, and the segment had been heavily promoted on TV and social media, making them almost dread the show. They hadn't seen the final edit, and were about to experience it alongside the rest of America. The episode opened with a recap of Danny's football career, from high school to college, and his time as a defensive tackle for the Chicago Bears. It detailed how he earned the nickname Da Bull in Chicago, known for his fierce playing style and tumultuous life off the field. Highlights included his notable plays, Pro Bowl appearances, and his Super Bowl loss to the Colts. The story then shifted to his trade to the Dallas Cowboys, suggesting that the team was misled into acquiring a player past his prime, which upset Danny. Interviews with players and coaches painted a mixed picture, with many being non-committal and a few outright rude. The show then transitioned to Danny's purchase of a Chevrolet dealership and his life in Dallas post-football. Kathy was shocked when the discussion turned to Danny's past romantic partners, noting that none agreed to appear on camera, which spoke volumes. The next segment focused on Kathy, who danced around questions about her background, opting instead to highlight her charitable work and upcoming role as co-chair of the Beef and Oil Gala. Then came a surprise interview with her daughter, Kelsey. Kelsey, in her West Point cadet uniform, spoke about her father and how her mother had cheated on him and left for a used car salesman. A montage of Jack's photos followed, showcasing his rise through the Army, his medals, and a poignant moment of Kathy pinning his general star on his collar. The montage included Jack's novel and clips from The Lawyers, where he was not just a minor character, but a star alongside Maria Elena. The final photo showed Jack in his Army uniform, with a voiceover stating, Brigadier General, Redwood, Jack McLeod refused to comment on his ex-wife, saying only, I have nothing to say about that woman. The next interview featured Carolyn Collier, chair of the Beef and Oil Gala. When asked about Kathy's role, Carolyn laughed. The Bullards made a generous donation, but that's the extent of their involvement. They aren't even on the guest list. Kathy sat in shock, while Danny seethed with rage, not just because of the wasted $300,000, which he desperately needed, but because he sensed what was coming. The interviewer accompanied Danny around the service department, where he showcased their top-notch equipment and commitment to customer service. Then the interviewer asked if Danny would comment on a video the producers had received. Thinking he had nothing to hide, Danny agreed. But then he was blindsided while Kathy glared at him. The young woman who had been filming the interaction was revealed to be the daughter of the woman he despised, complicating matters even further. Bullard Chevrolet, Dallas, Texas, owner's office. Hi, Michael. What do I owe this honor? Danny forced a smile, despite feeling like he could explode. Hi, Danny. I'll get straight to the point. After watching Deadline America last night, we're calling in your override loan. He was relieved Danny couldn't see his smirk. While he didn't know Jack McLeod personally, he respected him as a fellow Army Ranger. Rangers lead the way. What? You can't do that. That's $3 million. I can't afford that, and you don't have the right to call it in. My account is in good standing with Phoenix. According to our latest participation agreement, we can call in your loan under certain conditions, including if your reputation harms our brand, which it has. The key issue is if you lose the franchise rights to sell a manufacturer's brand. What are you talking about? Danny shouted. We're still Bullard Chevrolet, and we plan to stay that way. Have you talked to Ken Hodges today? Michael asked. Ken Hodges was the vice president of dealer franchise operations for Chevrolet, a powerful figure in the industry. No, I haven't spoken to Ken today. Danny paced his office, feeling nauseous and with a pounding headache. Just then, he heard a knock at the door. He was about to angrily tell whoever it was to go away, but when he turned and saw the figure standing there, he placed the phone down gently and said, Hi, Ken. What brings you here? Bullard home, Dallas, Texas. All Danny wanted was a double scotch and some peace and quiet. Instead, he was faced with a frustrated Kathy. Did you see the Emmy nominations that came out today? She asked immediately. Danny took a big gulp of his scotch before responding. When do you think I have time for that nonsense? I'm working 80 hours a week trying to keep the dealership afloat as an independent dealer. Why would I care about a TV awards show? He downed the rest of his drink and headed to the bar for a refill. Jack was nominated for an Emmy for Best Actor in a mini-series. Can you believe that? It's bad enough I missed out on being on set while they filmed his book and meeting all those famous actors. I missed a chance to attend the awards show because of you, she said, her voice laced with anger. Tears filled Kathy's eyes. She had nothing to look forward to, not even the beef and oil gala, despite the $300,000 donation that hadn't earned her an invitation. The Emmys felt almost as prestigious as the Oscars, and she regretted missing it. Her ex-husband was suddenly famous, praised for his portrayal of Robert Bonham, and his novel was a bestseller. Last week, she read that Jack had been cast as Hollywood heartthrob Gary Cleveland's brother in a major film. She envisioned them dining in Cannes with Gary and his glamorous wife. That could have been her life. She realized how badly she had messed up. At the Emmy Awards held at the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, the lawyers received 10 Emmy nominations, with Mark Tibbs nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a miniseries and Maria Elena Montoya nominated for Best Actress. In a surprising twist, retired Brigadier General Jack McCloud was nominated for Best Actor. While it was no shock when Mark and Maria Elena won, it was expected that Jack would not. When the winner was announced, Jack smiled ruefully and applauded along with the audience, having not even prepared an acceptance speech. The highlight of the past year for Jack was his growing closeness with Maria Elena. Sitting beside him in the Microsoft Theater, she gazed at him adoringly, and he smiled back. They kept their budding romance private, with only Kelsey aware of Jack's feelings for Maria Elena, though he noticed Tyler smirking at him from the corner of his eye. Kelsey was excited about their relationship and wanted Jack to propose right away. She planned to come home for a few weeks over the summer and was eager to meet Maria. It had been almost 2 years since her parents' divorce, and Kelsey had spoken to her mother only a few times, never visiting her. She felt the need for another woman in the family. Jack McCloud's home in Round Rock, Texas was a quiet retreat, so he was surprised when the doorbell rang. That he spent so little time at home that he couldn't understand how anyone knew he was there. The girls were out shopping, and he was organizing his files for the move when he heard the ring. Opening the door, he was shocked to see Kathy. "Kathy," he said coldly. "Hello, Jack. Can I talk to you for a minute?" Kathy looked unwell, her eyes haunted and her complexion pale. Jack sighed. "Sure, come on in. You know the way." Kathy took a seat in the chair that used to be hers, tears welling up at the memory. Jack sat in his usual chair, which felt different after months away. "You're selling the house? Why? I love this place." Kathy's eyes filled with tears. "I don't spend much time here. I bought land west of Austin and am building a house there. I've also bought some horses and plan to spend my time there when I'm not on location. I saw you on TV in that movie with Gary Cleveland. You were great, Jack. Why didn't you try acting when we were married?" Jack shook his head at the absurdity of the question. "In case you forgot, I was busy being a general in the Army. Acting wasn't on my radar then or now, except my agent has me contracted for 3 movies over the next 2 years. Kathy's eyes widened. "I wanted to say how sorry I am for everything. I had it all and threw it away." Tears spilled as she wrung her hands. "I'm so sorry. I divorced Danny. You won't have to worry about him again." Jack suppressed an eye roll. "Okay, Kathy, I forgive you. It's water under the bridge. No harm, no foul. We're good." He stood up. "Was there anything else? Do you think there's any chance?" She was interrupted by voices coming from the kitchen. The girls were back early. As they entered, Kathy was startled to see her daughter with a beautiful, obviously pregnant Hispanic woman, a few years older than Kelsey. Their laughter stopped when they noticed Kathy. "Mother," Kelsey said flatly, "what brings you here?" "Kels," Jack warned, urging her to be nice. "Have a seat, ladies. Kathy was just asking me something." He gestured to Kathy. "You were saying—" Kathy took a deep breath. If she was going to humble herself, she might as well do it in front of her daughter, though facing a pregnant stranger was daunting. "Kelsey, it's been a couple of years since I've seen you, so I don't know all your friends. Don't you want to introduce me?" "Sorry, Mother. You were always into Hollywood gossip, so I assumed you'd recognize her. Kathy, Bullard, or Bascom these days. Either way, this is Maria Elena Montoya. She's my friend and, more importantly, my father's fiancée and the mother of my soon-to-be little sister. Maria Elena, meet the stupidest woman in America."